our next speaker. Well, they say you're not supposed to have favourites, but if I'm going to be totally honest, she's my real estate crush. Got any HR in the room today? No. That's the good thing about my office. I am HR too. Part-time BDM auctioneer. I do it all. Don't do it well, but I do it all. With over 17 years' experience as a professional speaker, Fiona has taken her dynamic and enthusiastic approach to audiences across 4 continents, transforming people, businesses and teams with her no-hold-barred style. Got to know Fi over the last couple of years, spent a little bit of time out of this room, and just an amazing, really amazing person. Fiona speaks from a place of deep personal experience, whether as a mother, a wife, a business owner, or ever-evolving tornado human, as she refers to herself. Apart from being just the best co-host ever, Fiona is about to give us an insight on mastering the art of property management. If you don't mind, please welcome my friend up, mother, wife, coach and CEO of Real Plus, Fiona Blayney. Thank you, Fi.
Thank you. Thanks, Arthur. I should clarify the tornado piece is that actually comes from my dad. So I'm from Sydney and I grew up in a place called Putney. And Putney is kind of like the little summer bay of Sydney. It's about 20 minutes outside the city. And my dad, he still lives in the family home with Mum. I'm an only child. They're on the quintessential red brick, quarter-acre block home, right? Dad worked for Sydney Water for his entire life when he left at school at 16, and Mum packed books for Doubleday Book Club. And she loved that job more than any job I've ever seen anybody love. And my dad will stand out the front washing his car. He washes his car multiple times a day, I'm quite sure. You'll know this person. I had a RAV4 and I decided Dad needed the RAV4. We couldn't sell this car. He loved this car. So when I bought a new car for the family, I dropped the RAV4 up to Dad. Let me tell you, if you were to pay my dad for detailing, it would be about 10 grand in hours spent. He literally got a toothpick. You know the holes in the seat of your car where the air comes through if you have like a cooling system or something in your seat? He got a toothpick and went through every hole piece by piece. So you can imagine how much time he spends out the front. Now I come zooming into this space, Mum and Dad, 83, retired for about 25 years, zooming up the driveway and Dad starts screaming, June, the tornado's arrived. Lock the doors, batten the hatches, get in the bath. She's here. Because I just come at life like that, and I'm going to come at you like that today because I am so passionate about your businesses. Sometimes I'm more passionate about the businesses of the people I work with than they are. And they perhaps yell out tornadoes arriving as I come into their office. Why am I passionate? Because I know what's possible. And slight correction, 22 years I've been doing this. I've sat in all of your seats and I've sat in all of the seats of all of the people in your office. And what I have been asked to do today is to come to you with this idea of the future of property management. Now, hey, we're authentic people. So what I will tell you is this. There's no crystal ball. There is no crystal ball. If we go back and we want to start throwing the C-bomb around, 5 years ago, no one would have ever thought that we would have gone through a social experiment like we did, right? No one could depict that. I don't know, can the Reserve Bank even really accurately depict what's going on in times, in elements of interest rates? Hell, you cannot even go onto the Bureau of Meteorology and look at what is happening on the radar and look up at the sky and say, what country are these guys reviewing right now? Because it's raining where I am and it's looking like there's nothing in the sky, right? We cannot even predict real time, let alone predict future. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have the crystal ball and I'm going to tell you all how it is. If I could, I would hire out the MCG and I would tell, and I've been saying this for 22 years, I'll hire the MCG and I will announce to the real estate industry that I am going to share with you all how many properties can a property manager manage. And you will all pay me probably 10 grand each for that iconic number, of which there is no magic number. There are ideas, there are concepts, and I have, like I said, been in and out of your office. I haven't necessarily been in your office, but I have. There's not much I haven't seen in this time. Some things I wish I could unsee, and some directors, I know way more about them than their own wives. And anyway, that'll be for my Real Estate Agents of Australia reality show that I do when I've decided to drop the baton, mic drop, and get out of you all. And I'll tell you what you're all really like on a show. But what I am going to do today is I thought, what can I give you? What can I give this audience, particularly based on some of the data that we had shared yesterday? For those of you who weren't here, we were talking about the volumes of properties. So I've got a good idea of where we kind of sit as a group. And realistically, most of us are still in what I would call this infancy stage. Yeah? We're not running super rent rolls. Super rent rolls, by the way, are not necessarily super. I have a client that I'm working with right now. I'm in deep, deep submersion with this business. We've interviewed everybody in the business. There's 75 team members across the organisation. They had, I think I mentioned it yesterday, they were sitting at about somewhere oscillating between 4.2 and 4.4 under management, 4,000 that is. And now that I'm in there, we're at 3,600. By the way, that didn't happen when I went in, just so we're clear. That's why I'm there. And they haven't changed. In fact, in that time, in the last few years, their staffing levels have gone up by about 35%. Their cost base has blown out. It's costing them, with time, effort and resources, astronomically more money right now to run astronomically less properties. And so what I want to do is I want to pave a way for you with the 5. What are the 5 things, going to keep it real simple, complexly simple, the 5 things that I know that you need to look at over the next 12 months and be aware of in your business if you want to come out of 2025 better than how you're coming out of 2024. Would that be a good idea? Okay. So a couple of things for those of you that don't have rent rolls. Everything that I am talking about today applies to the total business. So I work with business owners. Largest business I have is 8,000 under management and the respective sales team that goes with that. And the smallest one I have at the moment is a buyer's agency that are starting up a rent roll, and I'm working with them across the buyer's agency business as well. They have one. Everything I'm talking about applies to the strategy of business, not simply property management, okay? So that's reflective. If you've got questions as you're going along, raise the paddle. If I'm running out of time, I'll let you know, and then you can grab me during the break. Okay, so first thing. Now, guess what? Success leaves clues. There are now 2 people that you have seen this morning talking about data-based, data-driven decisions. Manos has just spoken about it at length, and I'm going to bore you with a little bit too. Manos says he doesn't go to bed with a spreadsheet. I do. Fucking love a spreadsheet. Love data. Love it. I just recently went up to Hayman Island with Elite Agent and delivered a full presentation based on a total spreadsheet. It was riveting for me. No. Numbers tell you everything. Numbers tell you everything. The numbers do not lie. We have been used to making decisions in business based on this, based on our gut. How many of you walk into a room, speaking to a team member, thinking about the strategy for your business going forward, and you go first to this place? Let's see, who does this? Right? Most of us do. It's an entrepreneurial gut instinct. Most entrepreneurs, it starts here. However, the landscape of business has changed. This is not enough anymore. It's not enough. I want you to go here first and then go to the data to check. right? So go here, then go to the data to check. And with data, I play a game called CSI. I am a frustrated legal professional. You know, like when you go onto one of the US shows and you see them, they've always got a whiteboard and red string attached to various people, places, and they're trying to work out what does it all look like, right? That is what data does for you. I'm going to give you a link at the end of this, and I will send to anybody that wants these data sheets. I am trying to create the total playbook for data in a real estate business. Now, I know you're all looking at that and you're thinking, Fiona, I didn't go to Specsavers. How do you expect me to read that? So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to drill down into the PM data for this experiment and share with you what I mean. Manos today has talked a lot about the financial part of things. He's also talked about, the number of properties on your rent roll, the number of team members, etc. Here's what I want you to go and do, and you can do this across all elements of your business. How long does it take to do anything in your business? How long? How long does it take somebody to transfer a phone call even? How long does it take in PM to do piece of marketing upload, the leasing of a property? When you think about, by the way, congratulations, I don't know if you guys realise this, but most of you are running a non-for-profit. I do the data all the time on leasing. I just want to step you through this as a data-based decision for a moment, okay? Vacate notice comes in. We get said vacate notice, email, comes into the system. We do a number of things. We call the landlord, we devise the email, we do a market check to see what the new rent should be. Maybe we've got to then get in our car, go out and take new photos because it's been a few years, right? Let's pretend we don't need to do that. We're ready to go. We get the property back up online. It gets listed. The listing then gets automatically emailed out. Hopefully, we start getting inquiries in. What's your booking system for an appointment? How many times does somebody in your team need to go to the property for a private or for an open for inspection in order to get that property leased? We have to get the keys, which, by the way, we can never find. We get the keys, we go to the property, we show it, set it up, looks pretty, lock it up, bring it back, get the applications coming in, applications land, we process them. If you're in a hot market, I had a client once, they were processing 20 applications for a property. How many people can move in? One. I go, why are we processing the other 19? In most of your business, it's going to cost you upwards of $1.65 per minute for every single thing that happens in a PM business. $1.65. Now, that whole process, by the way, might have taken you, let's pretend for a sec, that whole process has taken you 5 hours. 5 sixes, 300, 300 times $1.63. Right? We're sitting at $450, $500 in raw costs. Would you agree with that? Right, guess what? That's a $400 a week property that you're charging 1 week let fee. Congratulations, you're a non-for-profit. Now, when I sit down with a property management team and I tell them that, guess what they do? They feel sick. They don't want to work for a non-for-profit. If they did, they'd be working for the Cancer Council or something they believed in socially. They want you to make money because when you make money, they make money. Everybody benefits. We're feeling part of something good. But when we look at that, we say, right, what is the database decision that we need to make here? How long does it take to do anything? Then I throw processes up on a board and I say to the team members, take out 10% of everything we do. Yes, we can look at things like offshoring. Yes, we can look at tech, and I'll talk to you about those. But at its core, most of your systems and processes in a business, PM or otherwise, have evolved over time. I've got a team that they put Airtable in. Right? Airtable, by the way, is a piece of software. It's not a system. It's a piece of software. It's like saying, I've put Word into my business, right? Or I've put Excel in. You've got to put the data in. Now that we've analysed it, the team themselves have doubled the process, have doubled the time to serve, because whenever any minuscule issue goes wrong, guess what they do in Airtable? They add a process, they add a checkbox, they add a document. This thing, it's like they're managing the Grand Prix of a studio apartment lease renewal. They've done it themselves. I love cutting corners. I love it. Database decisions, how long does it take to do anything in your business? And when you do that, you'll start looking at time to serve. Write that down, please. What is our time to serve? And then you're starting to look at growth as an example. So that's just process. That's how do we do something. Then how long does it take? And how do we? What's the cost? What's the cost of sale for new business? What is the cost of growth? How can we do that and get a greater return on the investment of our time? And is our growth even possible? Manos, you mentioned the $5 million agency. My husband thinks we're all hilarious, by the way, right? He drives past an office and he looks at it. He's got two theories. One is when you look at a clothing store and there's like half a metre per item of clothing, on the rack, you kind of know it's going to be expensive, right? And he also says, he goes, what's with the reception areas of real estate businesses? Like, I know guys that have spent $1 million just on reception. Okay, return on investment, don't know. For whatever you think of Danny Hayes at Hayeswinkle, he goes down there with a paintbrush and some, wallpaper, and does it himself over a weekend. Right? So I've seen him do it. So here's what we're talking about. When you look at all of this data, then you start looking at your geography. How long does it take to drive to one of your properties? I go into clients all the time as unprofitable managements. Like literally they're driving 1 hour that way and 1 hour that way. 120 minutes between two properties. It's not dollar productive. So my question to you is go back and understand the mechanics of the data, and if you don't, get somebody into your office to help you work it out, whether it's somebody like me or Manos or somebody else in the organisation around you, this group that knows more about data, so that you can make data-based decisions going forward. And I'll send you all of this if you like. I love that. This 4,000 odd one that I'm doing, I just worked out that for one postcode, there are 23 property managers in that business touching one postcode. And they have an area that spans the whole of Melbourne, and their office is not in that postcode. Got to look at the data. Humanised service. How many of you refer to properties, to properties or managements, should I call it? I just did it then. How many of you refer to managements by their address? Right? You know the address. Do you know the name of the tenant? Do you know the name of the landlord? So people will say, oh yeah, 25 Wangaratta Road. Oh, I need to look at 25 Wangaratta Road. There's no human element to it. There's a person living there. Like we talk about we're in the people game, not the property game, but we just constantly talk about property. What are we doing? When someone in your team comes to you and they want to talk to you about a particular situation, I need to talk about Smith Street. No, you don't. What do you need to talk about? Oh, I need to talk about Justin and his wife's investment. Okay, let's humanise that. The average investor in Australia still only owns 1.3 investment property. They are the quintessential mum, dad, significant partnership. That is it. They are trying to make a way for themselves. If I am renting a property, that doesn't mean I don't own. It doesn't mean I don't earn. It just means I rent. When we humanise situations, we don't have team members going into social media platforms and complaining about the pain in the ass person that they're having to do a repair for, or there's a particular leasing or an arrear. We're humanising it. We would never talk about our friends, our family, the way people in your team talk about your tenants, because they don't humanize it. So when we think about process and we think about the future, the only way your property management businesses will continue is through humanisation. Because I sit here, if you are all in this room right now thinking that tech cannot replace you, forget it. I didn't have a hairbrush when I arrived yesterday. I told you this story, didn't I? I didn't have a hairbrush. Rang reception, they didn't have a hairbrush. Technology replaced me. Did I need to actually get out of my pajamas to get a hairbrush, yes or no? No. Uber, hairbrush, Metro, delivered. $10. How good's that? What a world we live in. I don't even need a human now. When I order food at a restaurant, there's a QR code on the table. I don't need to worry about splitting the bill. I have to go and get my own food now. I go to Woolworths, there's no people. Right? So tech will replace us unless we humanise us, unless we humanise our client, unless we make the person more important than the process. We're so concerned about process. Make the human more important than the process. Otherwise, the process will dehumanise you, and you will not have significance. I believe that our industry can stay alive, but it's up to you to choose whether or not that happens. And that's because of this next piece, which is tech for purpose. Oh, I need a key system. Again, I've got another client at the moment. There is so much tech, big business. I have just spent a good part of the last couple of months. We have decommissioned $900,000 worth of costs from their business for tech. $900,000. Right? Because we just started adding tech. We just started adding tech. I was laughing at myself coming down from my room this morning. My handbag, if my handbag gets weighed on a plane, it'll have to go in the undercarriage. It's so heavy. I'll look at some of the males in the room. Have you got your handbag here today? Yeah, you got your handbag? Where's the handbag? How big is the handbag? Right? Most of you got it in your pockets. Right? Yours has got other things in it. Right? This is a handbag. Okay, you've got to stand corrected. It's 2024. A man can have a man bag. But you've got computers in there and things like that, right? If you get the tech, if you look at it and you want it, you'll bring it in, you'll use it, but you're not using data-driven decisions as to whether or not you needed it in the first place. I've got another client of mine who's wanting to shift programs. I don't have a problem with shifting programs. There's great programs out there. I work with all of them in my outsource business. But I said, why are we shifting programs? Oh, because it's going to take all of the tech and put it all in the one spot. And why is that a good idea? Oh, we'll make it easier. I said, for who? For what? How long? What time are we utilising by having tech in different places, database decision, and what time and cost will we regain by bringing them back in? And what is going to be the onboarding cost for all of this new tech? And what is our team thinking about the tech? And are we going to offboard team members when we do the tech? It's not just, that was a good idea, I heard it at a conference, let's do that because somebody else is. Does that make sense? So when somebody brings you a piece of tech, I want you to ask, why? What? So why would I use this, and what benefit is it really going to bring to our business? What true benefit is it going to bring? What disruption? Energy risk. Because the implementation of this is a goal, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely, energy risk. See the process? We put it through. We don't think of this as a goal. We just think of it as a new piece of tech. And what's the outcome we want to achieve by putting this in? Same with salespeople. Right? Same with your marketing, with your software, databasing. Is it going to make the boat go faster? Boom. Is it going to make the boat go faster? I'll spend money. I don't want to waste it anywhere. I tell my team that. They help us save money because they know they're going to get it. I'm not asking them to save money so that I can wear Gucci. I'm asking them to do it so that we can all have more together. An abundance. Be seen. Marketing tells us that there are somewhere between 6,000 and 10,000 messages that we as humans are receiving every single day. 6,000 to 10,000. I don't know about you, it seems like a lot. We've already been talking about cut through and, we know that we need to be authentic, we need to be raw, we need to be real. In our messaging, we need to be different. I want you to be seen. With my BDMs and the sales guys I coach, my message for 24 and 25 has been and will continue to be seen, be known. Be seen, be known. I work with my businesses to ensure that they get their teams and their brand seen. So I can metaphorically get you on the train line bus. I can get you in some social media sponsored advertising. I can do letterbox drops. I can help you with all of that. The branding, the profiling, I'll get that out there for you. But it's your job to be known. It's your job to humanize by, and no, I'm not just putting a clicker, this is a metaphor, right? Phoning people, talking to people, talking to our landlords, talking to our tenants, talking to our vendors, talking to our purchasers, talking to every damn person in our marketplace, because there are not many businesses that their market, their target audience is walking down the street every day, and you're looking, every single person you pass in your catchment is your client potentially. They're walking past you. We need to talk to them because we need to be known. We need to be known. And so we're working with our clients. In 2025, you're going to have to really work hard to be known. No, your social media ad campaign is not going to work on its own. It needs to be multifaceted, directed, profiled, like we heard yesterday, like who is your ideal client? Who is your ideal client? Oh, and by the way, little trick for you. Who's your ideal client? Who are you? And does the client want you? Use that for the single people in the room too, PS. Who's your ideal partner? What are they looking for? And is that you? Because last time I checked it out, if I drew the picture of Brad Pitt, he ain't drawing a picture of me. He knows he'd never get it. Right? Probably a bad analogy nowadays with him and good old Angelina, but anyway. So they're the theories. You will, and that's the same with staffing too, right? Be seen, be known. One of my clients has a crazy off-the-Richter TikTok account. Do you know what they get most from their TikTok? Job applications, right? Be seen, be known as somewhere cool to work. Property management, same thing. I'm hearing all of these complaints, about people turn over, they move, etc. And I'm saying, well, how do people know that you're any different to anybody else? How do you show them that? How can I experience that before I get there? Why would I want to come and work with you? Only unless you're giving me another $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. The race to the top of the dollar, right? It's like an auction for a human. Why? Because you're just telling me, you're not making me laugh. You're telling me you're funny. That's great, but the last guy told me he was funny as well. He was boring as hell. So I need to know that you're funny before I get there. All of these social media accounts are really invaluable. I think this is number 5. Am I up to 5? Yeah. Okay, last one I want to leave you with is probably my most important. I think since COVID, we've become soft as employers because we've been scared. In the property management space, we have experienced significant turnover. But that turnover, any of you have heard me speak on this topic before, in my opinion, it's not the Great Resignation, it's a culmination. It's a resignation culmination of a period of 2 years where people did not resign. You will only keep people in your organisation, right, for 2.5, 3 years max. Max. Average employee now will have 17 jobs across 5 industry sectors in their lifetime. If you have them for 5 years, give them a gold watch. Stop thinking you're going to keep them forever. You're not. But while they're there, people actually want to be kept accountable. One of the businesses I'm in, I'm there because the team asked for accountability. They asked. They said, no one asks what we're doing. No one cares. That's how they feel. You know your children, if you don't keep them accountable for stuff, they don't think you care. If you're not getting cranky with them and sitting them down and giving them lessons, as much as they tell me that I should stop coaching them and when I'm not at work, little do they know. Jack Welch, some of you may know him. Jack Welch was the CEO of GE. He came into General Electric at a time when it was about to bottom out of the stock exchange, and it had been the longest serving business on the stock exchange. Thank you, if you don't mind. Fantastic. Good, thank you. Okay. It's just a test. Prepare. Brace position, all of you. Never had this happen before. It's always a first.
Stand by for further instructions.
Thank you. This is what you do in unusual situations. All right. Great. Good to know. Everyone got that? Oh. So not the other one, this one. Not now. We're going to be running behind, just so we're clear. Test completed. Oh, congratulations, everyone. All right, so Jack Welch. Good, thank you. Thank you. Jeez, this guy going to stop. All right, so there was actually no test, just that's how we get people off the stage. So GE, Jack Welch, he's on there, he goes in, this place is about to bottom out. Here's what happened. Magic lesson across your entire organisation is this. He says in his autobiography that it was one of the hardest things that he's ever had to do because he had a whole group of people, particularly C-suite executives, that were actually not qualified to do the jobs they were in. They were in those jobs because of tenure, right? They were there 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. They had pay packets that were reflective of their positions, not of their capabilities nor their competencies. He had to sweep them all out. Those people's lives were fundamentally changed forever. Not only because did they get taken out of that business, but because they could never get those jobs nor those pay packets again. That means by GE keeping them, when they eventually had to go, and they will have to go, because you can only substantiate that kind of infrastructure in times of aplenty, right? When it really hits tough, those people will not step into the functions that you need them to do, and they will never have that life again. So we think that we're doing a favour to people by what my other good friend, Liz Wiseman, calls rescuing them. We think that we're supporting them. We think that we're training them. If you would like that book, scan that link. It will take you to a direct ability to purchase. I receive nothing from that other than this is the best book I've ever read. I apply this function into every single leadership moment I do because I was what was called an accidental diminisher. I was rescuing my team, thinking it was good that they made mistakes and we learned from them. No. When you crash my computer system for 2 days because you send an email to my entire database of tens of thousands of people through an Outlook blind CC, there's got to be a repercussion for that. But since COVID and the changes in our staffing levels, we've decided not to hold people accountable because we're scared they're going to leave. People want accountability now. It's your job to bring it back in and support them to be the best version of themselves they can be. If you're in a Jack Welch business, the top 10% irrelevant of competency, capability and results gets exited every year. I'm not suggesting that we do that, but I am suggesting that if you have C players in your business and they don't want to become a B player, then you need to decide whether or not they're adding value. I'm very passionate about these 5 things. If you would like some help with your numbers, or you would just like to tell me how awesome I am, please scan this code. And I will get back in touch with you. I will email you a little goodie bag, and I will include in that data matrix that I put at the beginning. And if you want me to hold you accountable to knowing your numbers, I'm more than happy to do that, and we can jump in bed anytime with an Excel spreadsheet. Thanks, everyone.
Leave that up there for a little bit.
Okay.
Please, thank you, Fee. That's
Thank you.
fantastic. Just leave it up there just for a sec. There should be all phones out now taking a scan of that. Wow, 20 odd years, that's never happened before. I actually thought that was part of your script. I didn't know. And then I got into a panic because I thought, what happens if they can't actually make morning tea? So that kind of threw me a little bit. But no, we're all good. We'll get the team to check. Our next speaker, Fee, that was fantastic. I've never heard of that. Time to serve. I've never heard of that before. Thank you, that was terrific. And I love the analogy of a non-for-profit, without the tax benefits, of course. And I apologise about the 17 years, 22, 17. You do look younger, but anyway. Moving on.